I'm going to talk about managing confrontation in multicultural teams. When we work with people from different cultures, there are some challenges that come up because each culture has its own norms and values. And when those norms and values are not the same, it can cause some challenges. One of those is, how do you manage confrontation? In some cultures, like the American culture, for example, people are very direct. They say what they think. In other cultures, like the Japanese culture, for example, people are more indirect. They don't want to confront. They don't want to have an argument. They don't want to have a fight. So how do you manage that? How do you bring these two together so you have an effective team? That's what I'm going to talk about in this video. The first thing that I want to say is that in any team, in any organization, confrontation is not something we like to deal with. We try to avoid it, but sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes we need to confront someone about their behavior, about their performance, about their attitude. So it's important that we learn how to do it effectively. But when you add another layer of diversity, cultural diversity, then it becomes even more challenging because, as I said before, some cultures are more confrontational than others. Some cultures are more comfortable with having those difficult conversations than others. So if you have a team that has a mix of cultures, then it becomes more complex because you have to take into consideration the different norms and values of each culture. So let me share with you some tips based on my experience working with many diverse teams. The first thing is to be aware of your own cultural biases. We all have them. We all have a tendency to think that our way of doing things is the right way of doing things, and that's because we're all culturally biased. So the first step is to be aware of your own biases and also the biases of the people that you're working with. You have to understand where they're coming from. What are their cultural norms and values when it comes to confrontation? The second tip that I have for you is to have a code of conduct or an agreement in your team around how you're going to manage conflict. It doesn't have to be something formal. It can be something informal. It can be something that you just agree upon as a team. But it's important that you talk about it and you set some ground rules. For example, you can talk about the fact that, okay, we want to make sure that we respect each other's opinions, even if we don't agree with them. We want to make sure that we listen to each other and we try to understand where the other person is coming from. And we also want to make sure that we're respectful and that we don't attack each other personally. We focus on the issue at hand. Another important tip is to teach your team members how to give and receive feedback. This is very important. Again, some cultures are more comfortable with giving feedback and receiving feedback, but other cultures are not. So it's important that you teach your team members how to give constructive feedback, but also how to receive it. When you give feedback, it's important to remember to focus on behavior, not on personality. And when you're giving feedback, you want to make sure that you're specific and you give examples. Also, when you're receiving feedback, it's important to listen and to be open-minded, and also not to take it personally. It's important to remember that feedback is a gift. It's something that can help you improve, so don't get defensive. Instead, listen and try to learn from the feedback that other people are giving you. The last tip that I have for you is to model the behavior that you want to see. If you want your team members to be respectful and to be able to manage confrontation effectively, then you have to model that behavior. You have to show them how it's done. You can't expect your team members to behave in a certain way if you yourself are not behaving that way. So it's important to lead by example. I hope these tips are helpful. I know that managing confrontation in a multicultural team can be challenging, but it's also an opportunity for us to learn and to grow. If we can learn how to manage confrontation effectively in a multicultural team, then we can create an environment where everyone feels respected and valued. And that's what we want, right? We want to create an environment where everyone feels respected and valued. And that's why it's so important to learn how to manage confrontation effectively. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel so you'll be notified when I post new videos. I post new videos every week, and also connect with me on social media. I have a page and I also have a professional network. I'd love to connect with you. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.